Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am here tonight on the Secret Heroes Lounge private beach. No. Sorry. No, I'm not doing that tonight. I'm here tonight on the Draw Show. Well, it's not the Draw Show anymore. It has been the Draw Show in the past, but we've brought it back here for Season 16. It's the playoff preview slash Season 16 wrap-up show. And yes, yeah, we are here with all the exciting stats that we've had before, and also all the sort of stuff that you expect maybe to have a little look at what's coming up in this playoff with all the new best of 5 quarterfinals coming up. Of course, I have joined with me tonight. It is, firstly, the Quantity Caster, here to fulfill our first section, of course. This year he bought a webcam, which after exams he probably tried to return it to the shops, but as always, he had a bit of an issue, so he still has his webcam. He's got a few stories to tell, and this time without a frog unicycling as the background, it's Yosh. How are you doing tonight, Yosh?
I've casted exactly 0 games this season, and I do not intend to stop. So yeah, this will be interesting. We do have quite an amount of things and quite an amount of teams still trying to fight for not this trophy, because they're making medals now for some reason.
Yep, and on the other side of me here, it is the Division 6 guests, and him and I have had a lot of differences in how we express our opinions, but there is one thing we both have in common. Neither of us know which division he belongs in. Having a small time up in Division 3, he's returned this season to Division 6, where he's back with the Depression session, and to give us all the stats from there. How are you tonight, Sense?
I'm great, thank you. Absolutely a few differences in opinion, but we're here. We have a love for Heroes Lounge, so let's get on with it.
Yep, so tonight we're going to start off with our Division 7, of course. We've got 8 to get through here, and we're going to try and keep it nice and condensed to a good old, 2 hours long. So, without further ado, we can get a little bit stuck in here and start to see what stats we have, as Yosh will be sort of presenting and giving them to us here. So, Yosh, take it away.
Hello, I definitely would like to present some stats, which I'm not quite sure which one of the million stat screens that I have been promised to see will be there. But so far, we do have quite an amount of things. We have had 209 different maps played in Division 7 this season, which is weird considering there's only 10 in rotation. The biggest hero pools this season are on the lower side of the, all-time statistics, with 15 being the highest number, courtesy of Nico from Neptarmy, followed up by Fengtian with 14, who was a player on Fear the Lornados, and Jadina, who has been a player for Pyroblast Survivors, but apparently has decided to sub quite a bit in the tail end of the season, is tailing in 3rd with 13. Our highest KDA this season was Brutus from Team Yit, yikes, even Europe tilts, with a KDA close to 12. Our favorite map, most picked map, well, their favorite map, I personally hate it. We do have Infernal Shrines, 48 games, almost a quarter of the total maps played. The most banned hero was Vala with almost 100 bans, 93, followed by Brightwing at 74 and Stukov at 60. Not a lot of love for the supports here. While the most picked hero was Anduin, who was the only support not banned apparently with 108 picks, followed by the stalwart of Johanna at 88 and Vala at 86.
Now, Yosh, you've been obviously experiencing Division 7 a lot. What has made Valor such sort of a big prioritization in the bans this season in Division 7?
Well, Vala is a simplish character, and one important thing that happened for her was the rework, when she was considered overpowered. And if there's anything that I've learned about Division 7 in the years that I have played and failed to win it recently, it's that the meta is a little bit static. It adapts slightly slower to change, and people are still quite enjoying Vala, quite enjoying her stacking builds, and there's a lot of follow-up for her that you can do to just set up those nasty combos that we have seen throughout the season.
Okay, yeah, and obviously Infernal Shrine, just the old lounge favorite there at the top. I know that Zadina was obviously one of the most picked players, or not the pick players, but had one of the most widest hero pools. And Zadina plays a lot of off lane, sort of the Samuro, so I'm not surprised to see them up there. Feng Shen was surprised to see them up there, though. So it's really interesting to have these wide hero pools, but 15 does not sound like much. There's definitely been more in the past. I'm sort of I'm surprised to see Brightwing also as a banned hero. Is this something with support as well? Stukov being there, Yosh?
I mean, I've heard about Brightwing a lot when people were doing Division 7 casts. One bald guy might have had a little bit of a rant on that a few years ago, and yeah. I mean, Brightwing is a good character, has a polymorph, which is absolutely nasty against people, has a blink heal, which does allow you to get away or save people, and also has a global. And as we all know, globals are overpowered, which is why that's the only hero with a global that is in the most banned for some reason. Stukov is also quite nasty, has been and is still a big part of all of the kill to death combos with all of the lockdown, with just the silence is so nasty to play against. It's illegal.
Yeah. Well, that's really, really good there. We can perhaps look over at the bracket here and you can tell us sort of which of the deadly teams to watch out for, perhaps the matchups that might make the most trouble in Division 7. I'm sort of I must say that it's hard to sort of know what's going to go and happen here, of course, with these best of fives. Some of those close best of threes sometimes will get a little bit extended and it might swing the other way. Yosh, which is your match to watch out for?
Well, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about how the teams are choosing their opponents, because I feel like that was not quite represented last time around. So the system we have for choosing our first round opponents is top 4 teams in order, starting from the first and ending with the fourth, are choosing one opponent out of teams placed 5th to 8th. And the theme this season was familiarity. Every team has played their first round opponent in the regular season. We have had 3 2-0s between Mocha's Ferales Hot's Musical, between Pyroblast Survivors and the other guys, between the between the Savage Novelty Hunkers and Yikes, even Europe Teals was also 2-0. But the highlight for me was the Peace Pirates versus Fierce Tornadoes, a round 10 match that was literally just played on Thursday. It was a nail-biting 3-game series that Fierce Tornadoes have had to win to get to the playoffs, to get those 6 points, and they were able to do it. And now they're going again for a rematch, which, in my opinion, should be quite exciting.
Yeah, so definitely one to watch out for in the next coming week. Perhaps it might be casted. Take a good look at the calendar when that pops up. We've got Bocelli in the chat saying Private Bar Survivors easy win Division 7, highest Nexus Rumble wins. Of course, they did there for a little while. That's a little bit of
Pyroblast Survivors are gonna get knocked out first round. I know that because I am playing for the other guys. And that trash talk is definitely not going to get backed up or I won't get clapped for it, because yes, definitely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sense, are there any names that you recognize there from perhaps scrims or previous lounge seasons that you're sort of hopeful for in Division 7?
I think my hopefully is Mocha's Ferales. I don't really recognise a lot of the teams, I'm going to be honest. But just the name alone, I'm fairly sure I've seen this name before, and if not, the name's brilliant, so they deserve to win.
Which, to be fair, Mocha's Ferales have not brought up a lot of Ferales, but they have played her twice. But they do have a 100% win rate with it, so the pick definitely works. The other funny thing about Division 7 teams and their naming is the fact that the team Pyroblast Survivors has never actually died to a Pyroblast this season. Was only picked once against them.
Yeah, so they definitely are survivors. I must say, my favorite team name here, Fear the Tornadoes, is a close second, but Savage Novelty Honkers has to be one of the best hero names and team names even, and it just makes me smile even saying it. It's a fantastic stuff. So your favorite to win it would be the other guys, of course, Yosh, but who would be a close second?
I mean, that is my horse in this race, so... And I do have one, so it probably is not correct for me to choose my favorites, but Since I'm here to analyze, let's throw the analysis out of the door completely and just go with my heart and root for the teams that I have been playing for a while and that has been showing up for a while, providing a lot of players and different teams that showed up over the years in Division 7. And that team is Hots Musical. They have done a little bit of a rejig last season. They have switched out a bunch of players, but they have managed to find their playstyle back again and get into the finals, into the playoffs in a comfortable 7th place, which isn't much, but is a start.
Yeah, certainly they have been around for a while, and it'll be good to see sort of maybe them make it towards the final, of course. Yeah, the final, of course, for Division 7 will be... I meant to have this
It
all
shall
up
be
and ready.
on the 4th of Saturday. It will be the first best of 5 played, so I think it starts at like 3 or 4. I'm not sure.
It is at 3 o'clock CET. So, yeah, definitely want to watch out for on the 4th of December there. Yeah, anything else that you can tell us about season 16 for Division 7, Yosh?
Well, it was a good big bunch of fun. I'm glad that we finally have a clean split between the top 8 and the rest of the divisions. The top 8 are basically all of the teams that had 6 victories or more and there weren't any tiebreakers, which usually is a very annoying thing to witness and kind of is very annoying to be on the losing side of. So I'm quite happy that this time around it ended up quite cleanly. And also for people who have been looking at the division on the site, you might be surprised to see that we have the P-spreads shown at number 3 rather than number 4 as they are shown on the site. But they do have their first place because they have head-to-head against the Savage Novelty Honkers. So that is not tracked by the site, but that is something that we put into consideration when we are allocating player seats.
Yeah, of course, anyone who's unfamiliar with the format, 1st through to 4th, they get to pick their opponents out of 5th to 8th. So that's sort of what went on here, and having the 3rd place over the 4th meant that they could pick who they went against rather than sort of the last one left. I think that's everything we've got though for Division 7, if that's correct, Yosh?
Yes, indeed. And now we move over to the divisions that are actually trying to win for some reason.
Yeah, so watch out for the Division 7 games, as the quarterfinals will all need to be played this week, and then the semi-finals after that. But without further ado, let's go over to Division 6. Sense, you have got the stats for us. You've got everything we could possibly want here for Division 6. I'm sort of wondering how much more variety has there been in the number of heroes played, perhaps even the bans. Sense, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so we're going to kick it off with the total maps played. So it's quite a smaller number compared to Division 7. We're sitting at 158 total maps played over the course of the season. We're going to take the longest game of 29 minutes and 43 seconds, which is quite astonishing. Which that's quite unusual to see a lounge game go to that sort of length and time. And the most first picked hero that we've came across is Anduin. Obviously, that one hero that'll pull you out of a very tricky situation if you're in it. Biggest hero pool is going to go over to Farku. He's playing on Do You Even Soak over the season, and that was a total of 13 different heroes he selected. Jester, Tamira, and Kex all equal with 12 total heroes selected over the course of the season, with the highest KDA also moving over to Swan. Swan was playing for Hauki Gaming, and God Almighty, this pronunciation. I'm really sorry if you're watching. Skveda?
SSG Vegeta, I believe the first
I'm gonna debut it.
3
The
are
pronunciation makes
the
him sound
team
like a
tag.
digger, doesn't it? He had a KDA of 10 this season, and Typhoon Hawk, a sub there, just squeezing in with a 6 KDA there as well.
I mean,
we'll move over to the most picked maps, which was Infernal Shrines. So obviously the fan favorite, of course, for Heroes Lounge, picked 32 times in total. Following up in second place with Tomb of the Spider Queen, 25 picks over the course of the season. Cursed Hollow picked a total of 21 times as well. And the banned heroes are looking very similar. It's going to be Brightwing at 77, Stukov at 69 bans,
nice.
Joanna at 55 bans. Great number for Stukov. Most picked hero is going to be Anduin at 94 times, which is an astonishing amount of times for a hero to be picked over the season.
Goodness.
Sonya picked at 66 times over the season, and Joanna at 59. So a bit of a correlation between the bands, band there with Joanna being picked equally between picked and banned over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean you're a healer main yourself, Sense. Have you had anything to do with those bans or picks there for Brightwing, Stukov, and Anduin?
No, I've been running it down as damage over the course of the season, so that's got nothing to do with me. I've had Healing permanently banned against me this season, just about. So, but no, Brightwing Stukov, banned heroes. Obviously, Brightwing's got a pretty much ancestral heal on cooldown of about 30 seconds, so a huge heal output, like Yoff just said a little earlier. Stukov, an absolute menace with the new changes to his damage and talent on E. And most picked hero Anduin support, like Anduin can pull you out of so many situations over the course of the season. He saves so many different people that we've played against from very tricky situations, and I can understand Anduin being first pick material and most picked, especially in Division 6.
Yeah, we'll see how that changes as we go through up and the divisions. Sonya, though, wasn't in Division 7's top 3, but is here for Division 6. Is that sort of that prioritization on the solo lane comfort being a little bit coming through, or is there someone particularly changing that for the stats there?
It's certainly, I think it is prioritization on the solo lane. So Sonya, very good double soaker, as we're all aware. She's capable of running it down between two lanes. Really good in a team fight, and has a lot of setup potential with Leap as well. And can be very tanky and difficult to deal with in most situations. Never mind without Wrath. So very strong off lane. I think that could also be why.
Yeah, she certainly sort of carries a lot of games on her back. If left unchecked, she can sort of do everything of camps, the double soaking, and just generally dominating a good off lane. And if it's sort of the matchup is right, it's sort of good to see her start to sort of rise up. As I say, it'll be interesting to see as we go through the stats today. We have still 6 more divisions to go through as well, so plenty of stats still to come, of course. But now let's get into the bracket a little bit, as we can start to sort of think how is this going to sort of fade out here for Division 6. There's a lot of competition going on and a lot of spicy matchups. Sense, is there anyone that's particularly spicy to you?
Now, this is going to sound incredibly weird coming from my mouth, but Division 6 for this season, I feel like a lot of those top 8 teams can beat absolutely anybody in that top 8 division, top 8 of the division. I mean, hats off to the top 2 guys, Oopsie Daisy, special Clown of Theory ability. They've done incredibly well over the season and shown that they deserve to be where they are just through consistency alone. But I think I want to see, personally, Pandita Del Nexo versus Halki Gaming. I think that'll be a really spicy game. That's the game I want to see, but whether that's going to be a thing or not, we'll see obviously further down the line.
Yeah, I believe they've got to both get to the finals if you want Pandita Del Nexo versus Haoki Gaming. It's a little bit of a way to go for them. But yeah, special theory of Clown ability and Renai Clown both up with 8 wins. Is there a secret that you know for perhaps beating one of those? You're going up against Renai Clan yourself in the quarterfinals.
We are. Previously, many moons ago, we did play against Renee Clan a long time ago, and I actually used to play for Renee Clan. Obviously, a massive amount of roster changes back in that time period. They're a very solid team all round. They just need to be exposed, and I'm not going to give any secrets, of course. If I do that,
How dare you?
that now, then if they're watching, they'll be a bit prepared for it. They're going to ban my Leeming, so I need to do something, of course, right?
Yeah, of course. You need to have something
He's
ready.
gonna play Liming and he's going to play Sonya. So get ready.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be an Anduin first pick somewhere in there as well. So these are all games going to be happening in the next week. Maybe they'll be cast. Maybe you want to cast them at home as well. You can always do that yourself. Yeah, of course, we've got 2 of the members of Special Theory of Clown Ability coming up a little bit later. So we can have maybe a little quick chat about them. But is there anything sort of special that's happened in Division 6 this season to make it feel so balanced, or is it just sort of the skill level is being brought up a little bit these days in Heroes Lounge?
I think it is a skill level thing. A lot of the teams that we faced this season, from even just my own experience, the level of sort of play is massively improved over the years. Obviously, I've been floating around in a few different divisions. I've been up to 2 to 3, and then back into the 6 area, and it is a lot more challenging than what it was previously. Like, a lot of the teams have improved, so hats off to some of the players, because they have been kicking around that division for quite a while, and you can see the improvement coming back down, obviously into the slums of the Heroes Lounge pool, we'll say. So well played to them all, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, as you sort of said, there's a lot of good teams here, and they are sort of slowly improving and getting that sort of practice in that really helps you get there forward. Yeah, the grand final for Division 6 here for them will be on the same day, on the 4th of December, but a little bit later at 6 o'clock CET. Obviously, that's a best of 5. So, lots of best of 5s here. Is there any team that sort of do you think that will benefit from the best of 5? Is there any that's sort of a big champion, or is it all just going to be a bit of a tiresome festival for everybody there?
I think it's going to be coming down to a lot of the teams with sort of the cheese strat, isn't it? When you've got a best of 5, you've got an opportunity to try and sort of experiment a little bit with some of your games. And I'm not going to name the team because I don't want to give anything away for anybody. But we recently played against a team who threw out some really spicy stuff whilst there. And it threw us off a little bit, but I think those that cheese might get a bit of they'll reap the rewards, I think, from the best of 5 series.
Okay. Well, I think we've sort of had some good stuff here. Is there anything more that you'd like to add for this Division 6 stats or information to bring to us now, Sense?
No, absolutely not. Best of luck, obviously, to all of the teams. Of course, I'll be rooting for the best team in the division, which is obviously Depression Session. But yeah, absolutely well played, everybody, and good luck.
The Depression Session's the best team in Division 6 on Garden of Terror, so be careful about this team. Don't let them play this map.
Yeah, Yosh, have you got any favourites that you'd like to see go to the finals here in Division 6, having popped up there from time to time yourself?
I have been a friend of Protect Your Nexus for years without really interacting with them much, but I'm glad that they're still doing great, and I'm gonna wish them the best of luck.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that Sans gets an opponent that I actually know in the finals.
Well, thank you, everybody. We'll be trying to get those stats out to our Discord at some point in the next week, I'm sure. But yeah, thank you very much, Yosh and Sense. We'll be going over to a very tiny break as we get changed over and Yosh and Sense become 2 different people for our Division 4 and 5 stats. So don't go anywhere as we will be right back.
And have fun!
Hello and welcome back. Of course, we are here with our Division 4 and 5 analysts. First up, we have, the first part of this Irish dynamic duo is a returning player in Division 6's Special Theory of Clown ability. But tonight, he's bringing us all the information from Division 5. No longer moderating for Heroes Lounge, but playing Heroes Lounge in moderation. It is Noz. How are you doing tonight, Noz?
I am very well, Trans. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Here to discuss Division 5, one above myself and Tofu, where there has been a little bit of a shake-up coming into the playoffs because there was one team in particular who did quite well who will not actually be playing in the playoffs, so could potentially make things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, we'll find out a bit that soon. And of course, on the other side of me, it is the second part, the Batwoman to Noz's Nightwing, perhaps, with some big plays and even bigger volume adjustments. She has streamed many games every week on her Tofu's Thursday Throwdown and Tofu's Tuesday Tussle. It is Tofu. How are you tonight?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for that fantastic introduction, Trans. And with your name starting at T, I think we need to do a Tofu and Trans show. I think that sounds fantastic.
I will endeavour to try and do one with you. I thought maybe I could squeeze in a Thursday this season, but perhaps one of the best of fives coming up. Perhaps we'll have to wait and see. So, Noz, you were talking about some gorgeous Division 6 juicy gossip. Will you Division 6, Division 5 juicy gossip?
Even, yeah.
Will you bring us the stats and the gossip coming in here now?
I absolutely can. So, in terms of the biggest hero pool, the award for this season goes to Remus of Delta Squadron, who pulled out 15 different heroes this season. So, fair play to you. And then tied for second place, we had Scissor from Not Unsophisticated But Decent, and Vane of Fast Feed Value, who both pulled out 14 different heroes this season. So, excellent wide variety coming out from them. In terms of the highest KDA, that honor goes to Sigorius of Vic Team, of Vic Team, who had a KDA of 17, which was over the course of the entire season. He played in all 10 games, so to come out with a KDA of 17 is fantastic. Axforus, on the other hand, he was a sub when he played in 3 games, so he kind of snuck in there by chance. Strider, though, 16 games again with a full season, so very impressive KDA coming out there from the Nexus's most wanted player.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff there from all of them. The longest game, though, being 33 minutes. That's got to be painful to play a 33-minute long game. You'd be confusing yourself. Perhaps you'd even queued up for League of Legends instead of.
That's what I would be thinking. All right, yeah, that seems like a league game to me. Even league games are shorter than that usually. So.
Yeah, very unusual, but a very good sort of all-round with the big hero pools coming in at 14 and 15 there. What about the map statistics, Nozza?
Map statistics. So, surprise, surprise, the most played map was Infernal Shrines, which got played on 66 occasions. The next two, BOE and Tomb, were played a combined time of 67 occasions. So, one more than Infernal Shrines. So, Shrines very, very popular in Division 5. And then BOE and Tomb, again, kind of classic maps as well from the good old days. So no real surprise to see them top of the charts as well. Most banned heroes were Brightwing, Junkrat, and Stukov. All very meta, I think, pretty much across the board from top to bottom. So no real surprises there either. And most picked Anduin, Vala, and Leoric. So again, a pretty high priority on supports looking at the most banned and most picked. It did seem to me, playing in Division 6 as well, that those 3, Anduin, Brightwing, and Stukov, were very much top of the pops when it came to the support meta this year. So I do think it kind of makes sense, and it's reflected in the picks and bans here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see Junkrat suddenly come in, because I do consider him as sort of one of those higher level bans that get sort of put out there, because he just can be really annoying in the hands of a very good player. I like to think of Division 5 almost as the melting pot of the divisions, because you get some of the sort of master players start to sort of be with sort of their friends who are sort of the lower down silver players perhaps, and you just get that big average of MMR put straight into Division 5. Somehow you've got these teams that are, really all over the place, but starting to think about those things like Junkrat, starting to think about that Vala. But still, Anduin, top meta pick here for Division 5. I mean, That's still there, still so safe. Tofu, have you got any thoughts about any of these picks that the Division 5 have gone for?
Well, I thought my job was here to sit and look pretty, but I do love the fact that Stukov, Brightwing, and Anduin are kind of one of the top bans as a melee assassin player. It's one of my nightmares playing against them because they just shut you down so easily. If you throw an Uther into the mix, that's just GG, game over. But I do like that the meta has shifted like every few months. Maybe that's a bit generous saying every few months the meta changes in a house. We'll say every half a year. For a long time, there was this whole Johanna and ETC, this heavy tank meta for a very long time. And then there was this heavy DPS meta when all the auto attackers got changed, Vala and Greymane. And then finally we see supports shining in the light a little bit as well. And we did see that bruiser meta as well with Hogger and Sonya. So you do see that meta changing bit by bit. And I do like the fact that supports are just a little bit highlighted these days.
Yeah, it is sort of nice to have that change certainly coming in. Now, as we transition over to the bracket, Noz, are there any matches that we need to be watching out for in the next week?
So the one that's really jumping out to me is the one that will be at the top of the list, Fat Nova versus Delta Squadron. Both of these teams had fantastic records in the second half of the season. Fat Nova only dropped one series, which was against Vic Team, who were actually the first seeds in Division 5, but will not be competing in playoffs. So Fat Nova took their spot. Whereas on the for their opponents, Delta Squadron, they were 1 win and 4 defeats in the first half of the season, but they won all 5 games in the back half to secure their spot in playoffs. So both these teams coming in super hot in flying form. And I think that is probably the most spicy match that we could potentially see in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, it was very sad the Vic team had to drop out. They, of course, couldn't make the grand finals day, so they felt best to step back. It wouldn't be fair of them to try and compete in these playoffs. But yeah, Fat Nova then, are they going to be unstoppable going through this bracket, Noz?
Well, they are one of the few teams who do have some playoffs experience as well. They were in the cup last season as well, where they only made it to the quarterfinals, so they'll be hoping to build on that this season. But coming in with a record of 8-2 overall this season, and with a record of 3 wins and only 1 defeat against the other playoff teams. And actually, when I was doing up these stats, I was including Vic Team as a playoff team. So they actually have a record of 3-0 against all of the other teams who are in playoffs this season. So to me, they are probably the worthy successors as the favorites for Division 5.
Is there any sort of underdogs that you could think of here right now?
Honestly, I think Delta Squadron, with the formula they're coming in, again, 5 wins on the bounce. They've also only played against one of the playoff teams, which means that all of the other playoff teams don't have that much information on them. So they could potentially be an interesting team to watch out for. Another one, Jane of the Frost Mage, another team, they've been around for God knows how long. I think I played against them in Season 2. So these guys, they know their way around. This is their 4th time making it to playoffs. And again, they came in with a record of 7-3, and they were the only team to beat Vic Team in the regular split. So they obviously are able to turn it on when the occasion matters most.
Yeah, they are certainly trying their best here in Division 5. Tofu, do you recognize any names here? Have you got any favorites that you'd like to see go far in Division 5?
I haven't looked at Division 5 in a while. I did get to cast a couple of the teams. But I do like, the momentum that Naz was talking about, coming in with 5 wins in a row. That's nothing to, laugh at. Momentum is really important in Heroes of the Storm. So I think they are a team to watch out for.
Yeah, certainly. I do like the name of the Lost Unicorns, though. I think that's a very adorable name, and I'd say they'd be the Dark Unicorn, perhaps, of the league here. They sort of coming in the 8th seed here, and obviously not the 9th seed, which was not Stonks Esports, but yeah, still it's a good one to go forward. Now, thank you, Noz, for all the information here on Division 5. Tofu, could you take us away with perhaps some of the interesting tidbits of Division 4?
All right, Division 4. We have a few, a couple of stats just to talk about. Total mass play, 273. Longest game, 33 minutes. That is a very long time. It is. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. The most first picked hero is Brightwing. Again, we mentioned earlier about the Div 5 teams. Brightwing is still a very popular hero to be picked, partially because, Stukov does get banned out quite often. The biggest hero pool, we have 3 players matching perfectly with 13 heroes in their hero pool. Gaugan coming in, we'll say joint first. Kostlom as well, and Alice Wonder from Gold Diggers. I love that name. Kostlom from Glitter Force, and Gaugan from Combat Kings, who are in the playoffs. Highest KDA, we have Big Lupu, who subbed in and subbed in with the game, getting 13.5. That's a really nice KDA. Followed up by Ragnarok with 11.75, and Relentless from the team Ranters with 11.26.
Yeah, we've just had the statistician who did the stats for us update the KDAs in the chat there with relentless. I'm not sure what sort of was going on there, but I think there was some late 9 stats going on. Frozen Dawn Storm did very well to get us a lot of this information, but she said Relentless with 11.23, followed by Dosima with 10.79, and Atsuki with 10.36. If perhaps you know any of those people, or if you're in the chat, give yourself a pat on the back or pat them on the back virtually. Could all be good to sort of get in there. Now, coming with the map stats, is Infernal Shrines the number 1 pick, Tofu?
It is a shocker. It's not as bad as Division 5, though. It was only picked 51 times, and BOE followed with 44. So it's not that bad. BOE is coming up really, really close. But if anyone remembers back in the days, when Heroes of the Storm was still developing and progressing forward, Infernal Shrines and BOE were actually released at the same time, roughly, I think, in the same patch. So it's kind of nice to see those, well, I wouldn't say new maps, but one of the newer maps kind of facing it off. And in third pick, we do have Towers. Again, not that miles behind. So we do see a little bit more diversity in Division 4 with other maps being picked up.
But looking at the banned heroes and most picked heroes, getting a bit of deja vu here.
It's awfully familiar. Awfully familiar.
Yes, we do see Stukov, Brightwing, and Junkrat being the most banned heroes in Division 4. Most picked being Anduin, Johanna, and Brightwing. The support meta is it's so prominent. You can absolutely see that. Stukov, Anduin, and Brightwing just are either banned or picked in every single game. Surely there's not one game that they, don't show up, basically, in some form or format.
Yeah, I mean, they just seem to be the height of the meta, especially, it is the sad sort of thing that Heroes of the Storm is getting less updates. So, there's less shaking up by the developers. So we do see a lot of them. I think we just had our stats screen updated as well. So you can see the new stats underneath us all. That's the sort of correct ones. I wasn't going to mention it, Luca, but it's there now. So it's so interesting now that Stukov finally becoming the top of the pile here, and we're no longer banned at all, though, as he was in Division 7 and 6. Well, I'm sure he is banned, but just not the most banned.
Yeah.
No, people aren't worrying about him as much. I mean, if you had a sort of a favorite hero that you were sort of going to ban, and say you're in Division 4 rather than Division 6, is that sort of the Stukov going to be for you?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to see Stukov. Another one that I'm surprised that I haven't been seeing at all since I've been watching the divs since Div 7 is Dahaka hasn't been mentioned. And Dahaka, he's one of the first pick and first ban that we've experienced. And I'm also including my Storm League Fiesta as well. After the changes with his level 7 talent, he became so prominent and so strong, even on not big global maps. He's just a strong solo laner these days. Surprised I didn't see him in any of the stats so far.
Yeah, it is interesting that we are having such a focus on the supports and Junkrat, and that offlane just pretty much left out, apart from that Sonya. That Sonya pick of Division 7. So yeah, very interesting. Right, take us through the bracket, Tofu. What is the go-to match to watch out for in this week?
All right. The 8 teams are La Familia, Laser Sharks, Turtle Team, Lash Strikes Again, Son Van Lily, AFK for Coco, the Ranters, and the Combat Kings. So obviously the 2 teams that are going to be, if you were to place, money on it, La Familia versus Laser Sharks is a game to watch that if they do end up in the finals. Because in the actual scoreboard, they're the only 2 teams to get 8 out of 10. They're the highest wins in total. That being said, when the Laser Sharks did face off La Familia, they lost 2-1. So it is a really close, if these 2 teams end up in the finals, it is a very, very close series. The rest of the teams pretty much most teams 7 out of 10. Like it's really, really close at the top 8 teams for Division 4. If there was like a dark horse or like a team to watch out for, I would say it's Turtle Team. They're only in third place. They're not actually that far away from the top of the board. But the reason I mention them is that they only ever lost once 2-0. So anytime they did lose a map, they always took a map away. So it's been very, very close series. On top of that, they actually beat the number 1 team, La Familia. So if I were a gambling person, I would gamble my money on Turtle Team.
Yeah, and I won't make any sort of comments about Irish and Lucky at all. But
no,
yes.
you're not allowed.
No.
Yeah. Turtle Team. I know that they've done a few scrims as well against higher level teams as well. They sort of consistently sort of scrimming a lot of different teams as well. So they're very much practice one. Absolutely, I think that's definitely a potential standout. But Laser Sharks, they have been around for quite some time, as well as AFK for Coco. All of these teams. There's so many names that I recognize here just looking over it. Noz, you must recognize a few as well.
Yeah, well, one that's jumping out to me is Seon Van Lely. I'm for sure I butchered that pronunciation, but they do have a bit of experience in their back pocket because they actually won the Division 5 Cup last season. So they know what it takes to go through the playoffs and make that deep run into the later stages. So maybe they can show that they have that late season, post-season buff that will get them over the line. Who knows?
Yeah, of course. Just after the season, sometimes it's the hardest time for teams because it's, 10 games can be a lot to sort of live through with your team. And then the last bit of off season, I mean, we've tried to condense it with the new best of fives and doing shorter weeks rather than having the thing. But obviously it's still a marathon to sort of push yourself, push your team, get that practice going. You're finding less teams to scrim against because everyone's sort of on break, but you've got to try and push and really get through it. So maybe Sion Van Lely, maybe they've got the magic that they had from last season and bring it in here. Tofi, have you got anything else for us here for Division 4? Have you got any secret stories, perhaps?
Secret stories. I did get to cast AFK for Coco. I did enjoy casting that team, and I'd be interested to see how they play. Again, I said about being lucky and gambling money. It's so close at the top. Like all the teams, 7 and 8 wins. Like how close is that? And most teams, even when they did lose, they just lost a map. Do you know what I mean? It's so close. But to be fair, from the other perspective, it's fantastic to see that. Some divisions, it happens that there's just one team absolutely obliterating and dominating the board, that they won every single map and every single game. But when you don't see that, when you do see a close game, I do expect the quarter, the semi, and the finals being really close and exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and see if I can cast Laser Sharks versus AFK for Coco, but yeah, we'll have to see on that coming up this week. Of course, these finals, they are all on the 5th of December, so the Division 5 Grand Finals will be on the 5th of December at 3 o'clock CET, and the Division 4 Grand Finals will be on the 5th of December 1800 CET. But the rest of the games, they could be any time of the week. Keep an eye on the Heroes Lounge calendar on the website and also sort of on the pings in the streams on the Discord. So yeah, that has been fantastic. Thank you very much, Noz and Tofi. We'll be once again going to a very short break where afterwards we'll have our brand new analysts here for Divisions 2 and 3. So thanks again, guys, and we'll be back very shortly. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to the Season 16 wrap-up show. Yeah, we're back, and this time with Divisions 2 and 3. But we've got a few more guests here. Now, of course, here on my side, here it's dedicated fan of the side Hardos who charms his way into doing some of the best stream announcements when he can. And he would not want me to go on without saying that if you have a Prime subscription, you are throwing away money. There is a subscribe button right down there that you can subscribe for free, of course, to Heroes Lounge, where we bring you weekly content with the Nexus Rumble, and there perhaps might be a few more casts, but of course, never mind. I will leave the rest. And on the other side of me, here is Hoot, the first bird the first of our bird-related casts.
Owls,
tonight.
owls, please, owls.
Owls are not birds. Who has regular streams where he speaks in both German and English. Tonight, as a Bejupa Matujuju member from Division 2. He'll take us to places somewhere between England and Germany, but probably not the Netherlands. Aviator, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you, Transparent, for having me. I think you butchered Hoot's team's name, unfortunately. I apologise for everybody listening.
That's how it's spelled. Is that not how it is? Is that not how it is, Hoot?
No, it is not. It's Biopatuyuyu.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're a little bit close, Transparent.
A bit too British with it all. Hoot, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for introducing.
Yeah, well, Hoot, we're going to kick off with Division 2 now, as we've had a little bit of technical difficulties with the Division 3 stuff. So, Division 2, how are the stats looking over there, Hoot?
Yeah, well, breaking it down, we had a pretty balanced season. It was really enjoyable, and we had many back and forth games here and there, and I'm really, really looking forward to the playoffs. For example, we had 7 teams with 6 wins, and it came down to map wins and even direct comparison to get into the top 8 this season.
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of really shows you that it can be super, super close, especially in sort of the divisions like Division 2. Are the hero pools expanding a little bit? Because we've seen a lot of hero pools of being sort of 13 and maybe 15 if we're lucky in some of the lower divisions. How's it looking in that sort of thing?
Well, in Division 2, that's kind of different. We have the biggest hero pool with 10 different picks. It was Leogar from Team Balls to the Wall. He's playing ranged DPS and healers. Then we had 9 picks from Jambon Feed from Peon Airline. He's playing offlane and tank. And we have Darthvi with flexing into almost every role. He played every role: tank, healer, DPS, offlane, whatever. He is from Team for the Murlocs. But numbers-wise, it's a bit below the average from Division 7 to 3, I guess.
Yeah, do you think there's any sort of reason why, Division 2, are they just sort of, do they know their heroes and they want to play those exact heroes, and that's all it is?
Yeah, that could be the case. It's mostly, I think, comfort picks coming in there for most of the teams, and they are preparing their drafts for the maps they play and almost going into the same heroes on the same map there.
Yeah, we are sort of thinking that some of the games might have been lost in the stats, but well, maybe there is a little bit more here to see. In terms of the games here, in terms of the maps and everything, was Infernal Shrines one of the most played again?
Yeah, what would you say? It's for sure, it's Infernal Shrines, followed by Tomb and BOE, and I think these are the maps most players enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much across the board, these maps get picked up consistently. But in the most banned heroes, we finally see Dahaka, it looks like, Hoots. Are we happy to see this off-lane dinosaur?
Yeah, I mean, Dahaka's busted, right? So his utility on the map with his global, it's it plays well into many maps, for example, Infernal Shrines. And so it's obvious that we can bend it, this hero here.
Yeah, I mean, his CC as well is super top tier, along with the Junkrat and Stukov as well there.
Yeah, plus he's super beefy frontliner too. You can always play him as a main tank if you want. So Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've seen any maps had main tank Dahaka just yet, Hoot, though.
Yeah, I was just saying because he's super
Thing
beefy.
is, you say Dahaka isn't a tank transparent. What do you?
Well, we're not talking about Blaze here, Aviator.
True.
Now, most picked heroes, we see Tychus and Lunara make their debut on the most picked list. What has brought Lunara into this top tier?
Yeah, level 7 talent, right? So choking pollen is just a bit overtuned, and many people abuse that to a good effect, and that's why she's picked all over again. She's applying some good pressure to the whole enemy team with her poisons, and then she can burst down whoever she wants with her level 7 choking pollen talents.
Yeah, and of course, I think Curso here, of course, being in Division 2, they have their player,
Legionnaire Miele, yes.
who plays a lot of Lunara as well. So I'm sure that might have had something to do with it here. Always boosting up the most picked heroes there. But in terms of the bracket, how's it looking, Hoot? What is the map to watch out for?
Yeah, in terms of brackets, I mean, Nexus Critters won 9 out of 10 games. They had a dominant performance. And they actually picked the 6th place Peon Airline, which is interesting because they lost the map against them when the season started. And as mentioned, Peon Airline might be the underdog here because Nexus Critters really had a dominant performance, as I said. But they have shown that they can win against Nexus Critters. At least they got one map, and maybe they will get another win there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some tough opponents here all around. I recognize so many names, and I think some of them are quite good friends as well. It might be that Nexus Critters didn't want to pick No Kiwi No Wins because they're friends. I can't remember who it quite is. But yeah, certainly a lot of these teams are second or even more. You know, that they've played in so many seasons, like yourself in Bijo Pamatujuju. You know, how are you feeling of your match against Curso? Do you feel like that's a confident one for you, or would you have preferred one of the other opponents?
Yeah, well, we didn't have that match up in the running season yet, so this might be interesting as it's 4th and 5th place. We had some scrims against them, and we both won maps. So I would say it's a close call to make and to get a favorite in that matchup. But if I would have to pick one, it's obviously Bio Patuyuyu, right?
Yeah, of course. And if there was anyone else who out of this top 8 that you think is going to make it to the grand finals or perhaps take it all, who would it be, Hoot?
Yeah, it would be Agrosour Macro. Because they have the same statistics as Nexus Critters with 9 out of 10 games won. And they showed the same dominant performance, only losing to Nexus Critters. But these games were super back and forth and really crazy. And Nexus Critters, so Gabriel from Nexus Critters, it's the tank player. He said in an interview with the Dark Wolf that he wants to face Agrosour Macro in the finals. So, and this could be the final that everyone is looking for because they are both top tier teams in Division 2. But first of all, Agrosour Macro has to face Team Cat, and they had a quite nice season, although they didn't play against most of the top 8 teams. They took a map from almost every opponent they faced against. So they are there for a surprise too.
Yeah, definitely ones to watch out for. Team Cat, they can get their claws out. Aviator, you've been around sometimes in Division 2. Any of these names that you want to sort of say that you want to see them go far?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, yeah, it's always the usual names. I think since I last played in Division 2, though, was before the MMR boundaries changed.
Yeah.
So I think most of the players that I recognise now are sort of Div 1 in that sense, and so it's shifted slightly. I mean, shout out to Hoot's team, of course. We'd like to see them do well.
Yeah.
No Q,
Yes,
no
we
wins
do.
as well. I've got a few friends on that team, so that would always be nice to see them do well. But yeah, it's definitely there's interesting matches, and yeah, I'll be definitely trying to watch the Hoots team against Cursive.
Yeah. It definitely can be a tricky one to pronounce there. But yeah, that's a lot of stuff here for Division 2. Is there anything else, Hoot, that you've got a sort of notable teams with perhaps some one tricks that people want to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, last but not least, we have the last matchup. It's French. I will try Entre Parentheses. And they looked really strong too. They have a Grandmaster player. It's Aklios, who is a Butcher OTP.
Yes.
So be aware of that. They managed to get third place with 8 out of 10 matches won. So they will be a tough opponent, and they will be looking for the grand final too.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah, there is a lot of good teams here in Division 2. Certainly a great division to watch. Yeah, thank you very much for all of that, Hoot. Now we'll be going over to our Division 3 stats and stuff. All the juicy stuff here. Aviator, what have you got for us here?
Well, typically, the most picked map, of course, still has to be Infernal Shrines. I think this doesn't change until Division 1 plus. And even then, I still think it'll probably be top 3 at least. Obviously, it's the most balanced map. It's usually everyone's kind of standard thing. BOE, obviously, second, and Volskaya third. I'm surprised Volskaya was picked that many times. Isn't Volskaya? Yeah, no, it's still in the map pool.
No, Volskaya is in the map pool, of course. It's not in the Heroes.
The
Storm League.
32 times. That's 32 too many, I think. And yeah, 32 very long matches, no doubt, on that map. Anduin, obviously the most picked hero.
Yeah.
In Division 3 with Tychus and Johanna. There's a big gap sort of between number 2 and number 3. You see 132 for 102 picks. I mean, it drops to 84. So I suspect there's probably quite a lot between 4th, 5th, 6th, all in that kind of middle range. Most banned heroes, of course, Junkrat. Has to be Junkrat.
Yeah.
Stukov as well, which I'm surprised about because Stukov was kind of addressed, I think. Brightwing, I'm not surprised to see, but it's really close between Junkrat and Stukov. It seems most teams were with that. There's no Valor band. I think Lunara probably sort of came into the second half probably of the season where Lunara started getting banned a lot more as well. But obviously this is Division 3, so you expect to be a bit lower. Hero pool wise, you see Zeus, Bokken, Fixoider in the top. 19. So Zeus and Bokken play for Norweaklings. So they're representing them. Interestingly, you don't see any of the other big teams sort of represented. There's no Hands Up, no Battle Beast Boys players. And then I wanted to point out one thing in the KDA, which is Genitalia is mentioned again. And now he was the back-to-back highest KDA player when he was playing for Johnny Sins. So I looked him up because I thought he wasn't playing this season. He subbed in 2 games for Owl Exterminators and had an 11.4 KDA, which just goes to show that he's literally just the biggest KDA player you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some updated KDA stats for sort of more high completion of games. So VG coming in first with 11.23. Johannes there in second with 10.71. And Caesar with 9.52. So
wait, Caesar 86 had KDA.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So. I've cast a few of their games, and judging on those, you wouldn't think that at the end of the season. That's pretty impressive. Impressive.
Certainly can be. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly sort of interesting to see that Volskaya suddenly gets popular in Division 3. Especially because it's not been in the Storm League rotation for so long now. Do these teams just really like scrimming? Is it because do you think that Division 3, they sort of feel like they know that map well enough and they just want to keep playing it?
I mean, there's a very minimal macro to it, right? It's take items and then fight over objective point. But the point is, it's a very late game map. It always goes to 20. 99% of the time goes to 20. So I'm unsure why anyone would want to pick it when there are other maps. But sometimes I guess if your 2 favorite maps get banned up by your opponents, you're left with Braxis, Volskaya, Garden, something like that. Then of course maybe Volskaya is the choice at that point. But yes, I think I don't know. It's not my most popular map anyway.
Yeah. Well,
me neither.
So yeah, people want Braxis to come back. It seems like in the chat they want to free Braxis.
Oh God, stop it.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, with that. Now, as we go to the bracket, Aviator, what is your match to watch out for?
So I think this could be the first time, I'm not sure, but it looks like none of these teams have played each other in the regular season coming into their matchup.
Wow, that is quite something.
So, which is really interesting. They've all played each other at other times, but the actual matches that we're left with, it's very standard again, by the way. You've got seed 1 who chose seed 8, seed 2 chose seed 7, 4 chose 5, 3v6, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So very standard there. The good thing, hands up, they won the division. They only lost to Owl Exterminators, which is also they had subs in for that match. Not saying anything, but there were subs brought in to defeat the Titans that were hands up. I mean, otherwise, it's a really close division in terms of results. 10th and 11th only lost out. 10th and 9th lost out by 1 map win. It's 10-6, 13-4 for them, and with 7 and 8 had 10-6, 14. So it was just really, really close between sort of 7th to 10th, and any sort of map win. It all came down to the wire really for Division 3. At the top, then a little bit different. You got Hands Up just annihilating it with 10, 9, 18. Battle Beast Boys and Just Cause then coming in with 10-7, and then obviously different map scores with them. But the playoffs maps that I'm looking forward to, interestingly, Sardinis, they've played 2 of the top 8, and they lost to Sven's Angels, which was the only team that Sven's Angels beat in the top 8. But Sardinis did beat Blackheart's Booty Call, which finished 5th. And then Blackheart's Booty Call were also a team to beat Battle Beast Boys. So it does go to show that on their day, it could be all to play for, really, for these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once again, we've seen sort of there's a real closeness between.
Apparently, I made an error. Apparently, Just Cause played the Trying Dutchman, did they? Did I miscalculate it?
It seems like you might have done it.
Oh, they did. They did. And Just Cause beat them. Oh, there we go. I lied.
There we go.
Okay,
well,
fixing it live. Thank you, chat. It was just a test. It was just a test, making sure that chat's paying attention, etc. Of course, but no, I think Hands Up look to be the favourites. Obviously, they've got the quote unquote easier draw in terms of they were able to choose their first their seeding. So they're playing the 8th seed against Sardinis. Then you've got Battle Beast Boys against Sven's Angels in the other half. So I think this could end up going to a Hands Up against Battle Beast Boys, or Just Cause could maybe sneak in, but I think the semis would look really good, sort of a Hands Up against Norweaklings, and then Battle Beast Boys against Just Cause would be, any of those 4 teams could take it then at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, they really are. There's everything to play for. Best of 5s in the quarters, in the semis, and of course the grand finals, which for divisions 2 and 3, obviously they've got 2 weeks for their quarterfinals, so they could be anywhere in the next 2 weeks, then 1 week for their semis, and then the grand finals will be on the 11th of December, one at 3 o'clock CET and one at 6 o'clock CET. So watch out for those there on the 11th of December. Saturday. Now, have you got any other top facts for us, Aviator? Any players to watch out for just in general from these teams?
Well, Caesar 86 is a surprise on being up there in KDA. Farm his KDA, please, to make sure that it's not as high for the playoffs. But no, in terms of drafting, etc., most of these teams are really solid. And there's no sort of one standout player on any of the teams. It just looks like they're all solid team performances, really, more than anything else, which is really good to see, actually. It means it's a very close thing. I feel bad for the Owls not making it. They've got a solid roster as well. And again, they lost out by 1 map win in the final 2 games. So it's, and they beat Hands Up 2-0 to even get that close. And that's a team that hadn't been beaten. So it's it is a shame not to see them in it. Perhaps they were the weakness to Hands Up, the sort of
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite, that was the word. I couldn't think of it. I was going to say green crystal.
The green crystal. It is a green crystal. It is kryptonite. Yeah, well, maybe we'll see them next season, of course, in season 17. I can plug that as well. We have our signups are open on the website. I'm sure the sign up link is probably wrong in the exclamation mark sign up, but you can head over, of course, to our website. Perhaps I can link it as a moderator and Yeah, obviously you can get your team signed up, and therefore season 17. So go enjoy that. Now, thank you very much, Aviator and Hoot. That has been obviously our Division 2 and 3 wrap up here for now, but we'll be going for once more a tiny little break, and we'll be back with our Division 1 and 1 plus stats. So don't go anywhere once again. Hello and welcome back once again to the Season 16 wrap-up show. Yep, I've moved away from the beach and come to the delights of Division 1 and 1 Plus. Joined with me now is a Heroes Lounge person who, you know, when Heroes Lounge, we can't go too long without having someone from Essex. And yeah, but he can be sometimes found wandering in the day. This fella is a hard worker and climber, and that does not just mean climbing in the outside worlds. He's climbing Storm League and divisions. This season, he's taking us through Division 1. It is Dark Wanderer. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you, Transparent. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. You know, not many people have asked me that tonight. You know, I'm glad someone did as well. And on the other side, it is the main Birdman himself from Inting for Ruby. His hawk-like features allow him to spot bugs, interactions, and the minions who are perfectly one Q away from his enemies on Kerrigan. Yeah, I'm looking to bring that sharp decision-making to the show. It is Mind Talk. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I wasn't really expecting to be here, but it turns out that it's hard to find Div 1 players who want to show up.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in Div 1 Plus, and we'll be getting to that a little bit later as it's become quite a small division, but it'll be exciting to see everything there. But Dark Wanderer, you wanted to take us through the maps first tonight, didn't you?
Yes. So yeah, I'm going to start off with the stats overall of Division 1, and just wanted to say about the total maps played. Pretty usual, you know, it's 229 maps. And the longest game of those maps going on to 33 minutes 12 seconds. It's a bit longer than some of the other divisions. Can't really remember if there was a longer one, but yeah, that is a pretty long game, to be honest. Yeah. But going on to those maps is probably on one of the bigger maps, for example, Cursed Hollow, Volskaya or something, and that's probably why one of the most first picked heroes is Brightwing. So there's that.
Yeah, but
now-
players are beginning to flex their hero pool a little bit more.
Yeah, they are. They are indeed. But yeah, anyway, the most picked maps are Infernal Shrines, BOE, and Tomb. That's kind of usual for the divisions all around Heroes Lounge, actually. But
Yeah.
you're going to see some meta stuff in Division 1. It's pretty normal. Like the banned heroes, Junkrat, Stukov, Dahaka, got 154 Junkrat bans, 141 Stukov bans, 103 Dahaka bans. And, you know, it's just pretty usual stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary there. And then we're going on to the most picked heroes. We've got Anduin with 110 picks, Brightwing with 85 picks, and Sylvanas with 79 picks. So what you'll see generally in these higher divisions is the banned heroes. If Stukov is not banned, Brightwing probably won't be banned, because that's the way you tend to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is why we're not sort of seeing the Brightwing ban popping up in the top 3 because the hacker's sort of taking that place instead.
Exactly.
Interesting to see. It's so fascinating that Anduin has been the top most picked hero in almost every division, if not every division, I think, tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it's the next best support after Stukov and Brightwing, right? So if you don't get Stukov, you don't get Brightwing. You're really gonna early pick an Anduin because it's such a strong support with the light bomb.
And I guess he,
consistent healing.
He doesn't get banned very often, which sort of lets him slip.
Yeah, exactly.
Through. It's
one of the strongest supports for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to sort of see him doing well.
Yeah, definitely. Going on to a few of the players, the biggest hero pools, and we've got Player coming in with 17 heroes. I don't know if I butchered that name or it's got a little accent on top, which I'm British, so I can't say. But yeah, so 17 heroes, and then closely behind, coming in with 16 heroes, that's Stormfinger, or Staubfinger, however you want to say that. And closely behind him or her is Death Knight with 15 heroes. So yes. And then also the highest KDA going into is Perinator with 15.5 KDA. And then we've got Rikos with 14.2 and 14 KDA on Jambon Feed.
Yeah, I think once again our KDA stats are a little bit wonky, it seems, as Frozen Tom has updated it then in the chat with Gabriel with 12.42 as the top one, and Kapushti as 11.06, and Kahuz Kazoo with 11.0. Yeah, I think our stats program was doing a little bit of funky business if you had 0 deaths in a game, which is why
Right.
perhaps this got a little bit messed up. But
Right.
you can take us over to the sort of the bracket and sort of give us the wins. Which matches are the ones to watch out for, Dark Wanderer?
Me personally, I would say that the teams that were closer together in the standings are the ones to watch out for. So, for example, Arm Wrestlers and Trick or Treat, they're pretty close. They've got a lot of wins each. They played kind of pretty interesting and also some meta comps. And also Memeldor's Meme Machines, Fat Jotunheim, and it's pretty much the whole bracket, to be honest. Some pretty interesting teams in there. But I'd say a couple of dark horses is probably my team. I don't want to flex on that. We're probably going to lose. So, if we win, that will be a miracle for sure.
Yeah,
But another team would be owning well outdrafted. They had a pretty rough season to start, but they did bring it back because they're obviously in playoffs, and that is great to hear.
yeah. Salty as I see, obviously winning 10 out of 10 matches.
Yes.
Which team is the most likely to be able to take them down at the end of the day?
Well, we're against them first, so we're definitely going to take them down.
Yeah.
No, but realistically, I think that
Oh, I think we might have just lost Dark Wanderer there. Well, I think, obviously Salty to see being a big top team here, but Trick or Treat, they've had experience in Division 1 Plus, so they may be able to do something. Obviously, that would be a grand final.
yes.
Oh.
Just to go through a few teams, a few of the teams on what they kind of play. So Guilty as the Sea, as we've previously mentioned, they run a couple of meta comps, generally, double, triple support with Zarya maybe in there, and add in some Lunara too, which is, it's a hero that's been pretty up and coming with the Q build. It's pretty toxic, pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we've got my team, which is team name still pending. We pick usually meta picks. I'm drafting, but we have a few niche picks in the end just to keep it spicy. You've got Arm Wrestlers. They play Medivh, and a few meta picks too. But also against the meta, they pick stuff like Ragnaros and Nazebo and things like that. Then we've got Trick or Treat. They have played Cho'Gao, Anna, and Li Ming. Which I mean, it's pretty good that they picked Li Ming with that because potential to bust the cocoon from the Anub if they pick up, and they did win that game actually. So yeah, you better watch out for that. Trick or Treat playing Cho'Gao. Also, Memeldor's Meme Machines, they play Cho'Gao against us, so they also play it. Unlucky.
Cho'Gao coming out a little bit here in Division
Played a
1.
few games on Malfail too as offlane, and he's a pretty strong double soaker, so got to watch out for that. Try and figure out a way to go against it. Yeah, and then you've got owning well outdrafted. Could be the dark horse going forward. And they start, like I said before, they started the season rough, and they brought it back.
Yeah, obviously in Division 1 here, we've had a couple of teams sneak in with 5 map wins compared to sort of the lower divisions where you sort of needed the 7 almost to compete here. But it is a bit of a smaller division, and it does get a bit of competitive around the middle area of Division 1. So it's tough. It's going to be a tough games here for owning our drafted, and obviously team name still pending. But this can always be a surprise in Division 1, especially now it's a best of 5 game. Do you think that's going to sort of help break down Salty as the Sea?
I think it might actually. I think they've got a lot of quick 2-0s, right? And I feel like if a few teams kind of figure them out and find out how they play in the series that they are playing, then maybe they need that extra couple of maps to take it back and get the reverse sweep.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else that we should be looking out for in Division 1 as we have these 2 weeks of quarterfinals going forward?
I'm not sure. Just make sure you watch all the games because they'll be pretty interesting. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
For sure. Of course, it's open for sort of anyone to cast if people want to do it. Just go to I want to volunteer and click on the little caster button there. But let's move over to Division 1 Plus. We have Mindhawk from Ruby, who used to be in Division 1 Plus, but they pulled out for some other reasons. But Mindhawk has still been keeping a little bit of an eye on the division.
Yeah,
How's it looking in terms of the stats over there?
Yeah, so well, first of all, let's talk about the total maps played. So we only had 96 maps played, which of course is a lot lower than a lot of the other divisions. We had the longest game at 32 minutes and 1 second, and we had the most first picked hero being Brightwing, which shouldn't be much of a surprise to people. And then let's move on to the hero pools, where I have a little bit of interesting stuff to say, because we had Ixir with 13 picks, Vider Z with 13, and X-Ray with 11. Now, for Vider, it's not too weird that he has 13 picks. He's an offlane player. He flexes a lot. But then when you go to Ixir and X-Ray, the reason they have so many picks is because they decided to play whatever the hell they wanted in their games. So you have Ixir. He played Raynor. He played Zarya. He played Anna, Anduin, Probius, Tyrande. And all of these are played in different roles. And then the entire team just flexes around that. Obviously, they also have quite a flexible, he plays for the Bobby Kotick fan club. They have quite a flexible lineup where they also sub in for each other a lot. And they play lots of different roles. And it's really, weird to see just how many roles they pull off and still win with. Because when you look at the standings in the Div 1 Plus, the teams, Bobby Kotick Fan Club and Shelvin Misses V's Every Day are the two top teams, and they really are the top teams. They are quite far above the rest, and that means they get away with playing around, as it were. And then for the KDA, we have Aether at 13.5, we have Ethereal at 13, and Mopsio at 13.
Yeah, once again, I think we've had some interesting KDA stats. Frozen Storm has given us them in the chat, updated. So Out of Order was there really first, sort of with the ones who haven't just played one map. Out of Order with 10.33, X-Ray with 9.9, and AoE with 9.86. So yeah, support players making their way up to the top of the KDAs once again. Mindhawk.
So then we move on to the most picked maps, which should not be a surprise to anyone. Pro players and high-ranked players like their consistency. So we have Infernal Shrines at 22, we have Tomb at 19, and we have BOE at 18. All really standard and really straightforward maps. Players just like to play them. The banned heroes, again, we have Junkrat, Stukov, and the Haka. Junkrat with 64 times banned. He is banned nearly every game at this point. People just don't want to play against him anymore. No. Stukov is just a powerful pick. And the Haka, after his changes, has just become a very dominant hero. Though there's some rumblings about some matchups that can beat the Haka, and he's fallen off a little bit more than he used to be. Most picked, Brightwing at 42, Leoric at 41, and Anubarak at 40. Anubarak being the most consistent tank to pick early. And just numerically strong at the moment.
Yeah, it's it's always interesting with the 1 Plus maps because they don't really flex much at all. Last season, it was Division 1 Plus practically only picked 4 maps in total. I'm not sure if you got the stats for this season for all of the maps there, if that's sort of very similar. Have you got that at all, Mindhawk? Or
I don't have the stats for all of the maps, but I can tell you from my personal experience that going into the stranger maps like Braxis and Volskaya, it's just really not played. No team will take you there, and you won't take any team there.
You don't want to go there either. The dark parts of Heroes of the Storm.
So another interesting thing to mention is, of course, that Division 1 Plus started this season with, I believe, 14 or 15?
Yeah, 14 teams.
14 teams. And now we have 7 teams in the playoffs because there were only 8 teams left in the regular season. So various teams have dropped out for a multitude of reasons. But currently, the top 2 teams are Bobby Kotick Fan Club and Chelvin Misses V's Everyday, out of which Chelvin Misses V's Everyday has a bye in the first round in the Division 1 Plus Cup. And then moving on to the matchups, we have Corridor Comrades versus Bunker Crew, out of which I think it's Bunker Crew favored. They haven't played each other in the regular season, so it is going to be a little bit of a toss-up. But I think Bunker Crew is just a little bit stronger. Then we have Hivemind versus Bobby Kotick, which I think Hivemind got very unlucky. I think they're going to get crushed by Bobby Kotick.
Yeah.
And then we have Master Clash Academy versus One Girl, Four Guys, which I think is favorite to Masters Clash Academy, but I think One Girl, Four Guys can definitely win that matchup.
Yeah, well, Masters Clash Academy, not to sort of plug the Nexus Rumble too much, they've been the winners of the Upper Rumble for a little bit of time, and they sort of beat Corridor Comrades just the other day themselves. So what is it about One Girl, Four Guys that means that they could potentially take down Masters Clash Academy?
They've actually shown some good games throughout the season, right? So their score overall also isn't too bad. They are 6th place, but that is also because they only played 9 matches.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help when you want to get higher in the standings.
Yeah, it certainly can be a little bit tricky for there. So out of all these matches, which is your one to watch, if you could, my talk?
Well, I think the finals are going to be pretty obvious. The top 2 teams against each other, and I do think that is going to be the most interesting game to watch.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to be watching outside of the top 2, though, I think that Corridor Comrades and Bunker Crew could very well be an interesting match to watch.
Okay, they'll have 2 weeks to play that in the quarterfinal. Of course, these are all best of 5 games now in the playoffs. But the Division 1 Grand Finals will be on the 12th of December at 3 o'clock CET, and Division 1 Plus Grand Finals will be on the 12th of December at 6 o'clock CET. So if you want to watch perhaps Chelvin Miss these every days against potentially the Bobby Kotick fan club, it might not be them. It could be a very different game, but from what my talk's saying, he's backing those horses to be in the grand finals. Yep, that will be on the 12th of December. Dark Wanderer, have you got any favourites that you want to see maybe pluck up the courage here in Division 1 Plus?
I mean, as Mindhawk said about Hivemind, he thinks they're going to lose. I mean, I'd like to see them win then and prove him wrong, just because why not?
I would really want them to lose as well. Of course, Bobby Kotick, no one should give that man a fan club. But I think that Bobby Kotick is probably going to meme around a lot, which definitely can mean that Hivemind is going to be able to pull off a win. Though, because it's a best of 5, I very much doubt it.
Yeah, of course.
If there is one team outside of the top 2 that I expect to show up in the grand finals, it's going to be Masters Clash Academy, because they definitely have been looking very strong.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how they do. Obviously, a lot of these guys are playing in other tournaments at the moment, and so you can see a lot of them all around the Twitch sphere, of course, in the EU and NA games around here. And here's the Storm land. But yeah, I think that is everything. Unless you have something more for us here, Mindhawk.
I think that was about everything.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, yeah, everybody, you can watch out for any games here on the Heroes Lounge websites. Season 17 signups are open, and they're open for the next 4 weeks, I think it's just about, until the 19th of December. Seeding will be on the 20th of December, and the season will look to start early January. Those dates will be up on the website soon, TM. I promise, guys, I promise. I've got them all written somewhere. I just need to get them out there for you. Of course, if you're not in one of these teams and you're thinking, what else can I do? We have our off-season tournament as well, which is open for signups. You can check that out under the events tab, off-seasons 15-16. I'll pop that in the chat. Sign-ups will be there, and that will be open, of course, for about a week, I think. Maybe until Friday is when we will be closing them to get everything set up the week after that. Of course, you can play that if you're in the playoffs. Just watch out. It is all ARAM, and make sure you prioritize your best of 5s in the playoffs as well. But this has been everybody tonight. Thank you for all the guests who have been on here. Thank you for Luca, who's been doing all the background work, and also Frozen Storm for doing that. The stats for us has been very useful stuff. I hope you all enjoyed this. Any feedback, please go to the feedback and suggestions in our Discord. We are always welcome to hearing more feedback for everything. But yeah, don't miss all of the action coming up in this next 3 weeks for our playoffs, all the best of 5 games here for Heroes Lounge. Thank you very much for watching as well, everybody at home. And thank you for everybody who has played, of course, in Season 16. We hope to see you once again in Season 17. But that's goodbye from us here tonight from Heroes Lounge.